What's up everyone, Daddy Gaming here, and for today's video we're going to talk about sucrose. So this video is a very quick guide for a sucrose support build. So as a support, you want to focus more on her substats like elemental mastery, energy recharge. And for early game, you can focus on the instructor set or instructor plus exile or whatever you want. But I would suggest go for full instructor for the elemental mastery perks to your team. So for the late game, you can focus on the very decent set and have a substats of energy recharge, elemental mastery. The other two, you can just mix in the HP, defense for more survivability rate. So as much as possible, focus on the elemental mastery side, Anemo damage for the main stats, and energy recharge as well for the burst to be available as much as possible. So for the passive talents, the more elemental mastery you have, the better, because your main DPS will benefit with it, because when she triggers a swirl, you got a 50 elemental mastery, and when you cast your E or your burst, 20% of your total elemental mastery will be added as well. So what's good about her for the weapon is the trailing tails of dragon and sacrificial fragments. So basically for the weapon, it's up to you whether you will choose a different catalyst. But for me, sacrificial fragments and trailing tails of the dragon is the best suited weapon for her, in my opinion, because sacrificial fragments gives her elemental mastery and it gives her E a chance, so you can recast it. If you don't have a constellation, you can cast it twice, there is a chance. But if you have a constellation one, I think you can switch to the trailing tails of dragon, because the 48% attack increase is very good for your main DPS. Plus the elemental mastery is still there, so you have a higher elemental mastery when wearing a sacrificial fragments, but when you're wearing a trailing tails, elemental mastery is still there because it's in your artifacts. So you can see my artifacts are not ideal right now. The stats are not ideal. It's a crit rate. It's supposed to be a elemental mastery, Anemo damage, yeah it is, and energy recharge. So for the substats, you usually need to focus on energy recharge and elemental mastery. So very decent set, so that when you cast a fire, when your main DPS is fire, just cast fire first, then swirl, then switch to main DPS, and the boss will become 40% decrease on elemental fire. So you, meaning to say, you're gonna deal more damage to the boss if you have a very decent set to your sucrose. That's why it's very ideal for her to have this on the end game. So notable constellation, so imagine having her on max constellation. So there is an elemental damage bonus again if you use her burst. So when you cast fire and she triggers an elemental absorption, so all party members gain a 20% elemental damage bonus for the corresponding absorb element. So if your main DPS is fire, you need to absorb the fire first. So this is her skill, first skill, so I don't recommend upgrading this. So you need to upgrade the E. So this is her E, so it groups the enemies, so it's very good on delay lines, very good for lots of mobs. And if you have a constellation one, you can cast it twice, and when you're using a sacrificial fragments, it gives you a chance to cast it 3 times. So that is pretty decent, right? So this is her burst. So there is an interval of the damage. It's not like the burst of venti where it's a tornado thing. So this is like the skill of the Anemo hypostasis, so like a butterfly. So there is an interval. So you can see my Diluc has a elemental mastery of 49. So let's see how her magic works here. So now we're wearing a sacrificial fragments, and we're gonna trigger a swirl reaction. So you're gonna see our elemental mastery will be increased. So from 49, how many? So we're gonna trigger swirl first. So how many is that? So for 49 there is a 190. So we have a 141 elemental mastery increase. So meaning to say our burst will deal a lot more damage. But when we're using a Trilling Tails of the Dragon, let's see how many elemental mastery we can get. So we have lesser elemental mastery for the Sucrose, so expect that we have less additional elemental mastery. But the thing is, we have a 48% attack. So let's see how many we can get here. Oh wait, we don't trigger a swirl. We're gonna apply fire first. Okay, swirl. Okay, so let's see how many. So it's 154. So it's 49 50, so 105. But the attack, you can notice that there is an increase of attack like 400 plus. So here we're gonna use a Trilling Tails of the Dragon. That's why it's much ideal because of the attack, because it affects also the elemental burst damage or your main DPS. So if you want some flexing like this without Bennett, it's very ideal, right? So I switched to main DPS to get the Trilling Tails effect, then go for the melt, so it's a 2 times damage, and boom, you can see that. So I think that's pretty much it. So guys, before I end the video, so again, few tips. So I will repeat: early game instructor set, elemental mastery, energy recharge is a must for a substats. So for the late game, very decent set, elemental mastery and energy recharge as well. So for the main stats, Anemo damage, energy recharge, and elemental mastery. For the weapon, you can go for sacrificial fragments or Trilling Tails of the Dragon. So there are also an option for Mappa Mare, which gives you more damage, but I think Trilling Tails of the Dragon will benefit more on your main DPS, especially if you're using her only as a support. So you should have a Trilling Tails of the Dragon and boost her elemental mastery as much as possible. So guys, I do hope you like this video. If you do like, just subscribe perhaps, click the like button, and share. So thank you everyone for watching again, and have a good day and happy gaming. So goodbye everyone.